tariffs, trade diplomacy, and national security. What happens when they all collide? Today, we're diving deep into the heated debate over a new 25% auto tariff that's shaking up U.S. trade relations. Is reciprocity dead? Is this protectionism or smart national strategy? Let's unravel what this means for the markets, for manufacturing, and for the future of free trade in America. Stick around because this is one ride you don't want to miss.
Segment 1. Reciprocity under fire. For years, the concept of reciprocity stood as a pillar of U.S. trade policy. You tax me, I tax you back. A principle that's as simple as it is compelling. It's been the go-to model for negotiating fairer access to global markets. But now it feels like that strategy's been tossed aside. Enter a bold new 25% tariff on imported vehicles, a sweeping move not rooted in tit-for-tat economics, but in raw, unapologetic national security concerns. So, is this a smart pivot or a dangerous overstep? Former policymakers and trade veterans say it's complicated. Back in the Reagan and Bush years, trade diplomacy relied heavily on investigative pressure, chip dumping, unfair auto practices, and diplomacy worked. Barriers came down, markets opened. But now, without negotiation, we're skipping straight to blunt force policy. Segment 2. National security or economic sabotage. What's behind this sudden tariff surge? Supporters argue national security. The U.S. no longer dominates its own auto supply chain. More than half of so-called American-made cars rely on foreign components, often from geopolitical rivals. If tensions rise or supply chains snap, what happens to our ability to produce vital vehicles or defense equipment?
This line of thinking isn't new. It mirrors concerns over chips, copper, and steel, key materials that fuel both civilian and military industries. And that's the distinction here. These tariffs aren't just trade weapons, they're shields for American sovereignty, or so the argument goes. Still, critics argue that bypassing reciprocity and launching economic grenades may alienate allies and fracture foundational deals like the USMCA. Segment 3. The USMCA at risk. The United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, hailed as a victory for balanced trade in North America, now hangs in the balance. A 25% tariff could directly challenge the terms of the USMCA, undermining efforts made during its inception, especially when it comes to car manufacturing standards. Critics worrying this could send shockwaves through regional supply chains. Supporters, however, remain hopeful. They argue this pressure will force Mexico and Canada to clamp down on Chinese parts being funneled through their economies under the guise of North American content. The idea is simple: enforce the agreement more strictly. If components are genuinely North American made, they'll remain tariff-free. If not, they'll get hit with the full weight of these new rules. It's a gamble, but one proponents believe could restore real manufacturing integrity. Segment 4. The auto industry split response. Auto manufacturers are scrambling to respond. For some, the damage could be massive, especially companies heavily reliant on foreign assembly lines. But others, like Volkswagen, have quietly increased their U.S. content in recent years, moving from just 8% domestic components to over 35%. Companies like Honda and Hyundai are also climbing, adapting faster than expected. General Motors and Ford, their positions are mixed, often caught between maximizing global supply chains and adhering to shifting U.S. policies. There's also public resentment brewing. After the government bailed out automakers not too long ago, many Americans expected a long-term investment in domestic production. Instead, some automakers have outsourced, even more fueling the sense that this new tariff may simply be a correction of broken promises. Segment 5. Wall Street reacts. And what about the markets? Surprisingly, they didn't panic. No tariff tantrum on Wall Street this time. Tesla even surged. Other stocks stumbled but remained largely stable. Why? Because Wall Street is already pricing in risk and, more importantly, adapting to a new reality. Global supply chains are no longer sacred. Domestic manufacturing is rising, and investors are betting on which companies will ride the storm or get swept away by it. This isn't just about cars. It's about steel, chips, copper, and the infrastructure of American economic resilience. Segment 6. The bigger strategy beyond the headlines. There's a broader strategy unfolding. Tariffs, many argue, are no longer just punishment. They're leverage. Used strategically, they can push countries to negotiate, to open up, to play fair. In fact, Trump's first-term success with India and China was built on this exact model. And it's not just trade. Regulatory reform, domestic tax cuts, energy independence all are pieces of a puzzle meant to bring production back home. From tax incentives for capital equipment to slashing red tape across key industries, the government is making it easier and more profitable to build in America again. Add to that a proposed $5 trillion in tax cuts and another $2 trillion in deregulation rollback, and you're looking at a massive transformation of the US economy. So, where does this leave us? We're witnessing a trade revolution where diplomacy meets disruption and policy meets power play. Whether you support the 25% tariff or not, one thing's clear: the age of passive globalism is over. America is playing hardball, and the world is watching. Will this bring jobs back? Will it spark a manufacturing renaissance? Or will it backfire, leaving us isolated and at odds with allies? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure: the rules of the game just changed. If you found this breakdown insightful, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to Profit Powerhouse, and ring the bell for more deep dives into the world of finance, policy, and economic power plays. Let us know in the comments, are these tariffs smart strategy or economic risk? We want to hear your take. This is Profit Powerhouse, where money meets momentum. Catch you in the next one.